Welcome back, everyone. We have an update from Immuron Limited, which trades on the NASDAQ under the symbol IMRN and is a biopharmaceutical company focused on developing and commercializing orally delivered targeted polyclonal antibodies for the treatment of infectious diseases. Please welcome its CEO, Steve Lydeamore. Nice to see you, Steve.
Yeah, thank you very much. My pleasure to be providing an update to you today. So for those that weren't on the last presentation, I'll just give you a quick update. So we are Australian listed stock, also listed on NASDAQ. Market cap in Australia is roughly Australian $20 million. And important to note that in December, we had $15 million in cash, so a relatively low valuation. We have a commercial product, Travelan, sold for preventing travelers' diarrhea. We also have 3 therapeutic products and 4 clinical programs. And just want to give you an update today on the status of those clinical programs. So we have in June this month planning to file pre-IND for IMM529 for Clostridioides difficile. The Travelan phase 2 trial that I reported on in the last call, we're due to receive the rest of the results in July, and the clinical study report in August. And we plan to provide that to the FDA with a view to having a end of phase 2 meeting. The other phase 2 program, Camp ETEC, that we've completed dosing, we're expecting results for that study to be released in August. So a lot of milestones upcoming with potential value accretive outcomes. Just to remind you, the Travelan product that we have, we're generating revenue from that. So for the 9 months year to date, roughly $3.6 million, coming off a low base during the pandemic. You can see the strong growth profile for Travelan. Our technology platform, for those that aren't familiar, is based on colostrum. This is where we develop vaccines for targeted pathogens. We vaccinate cows, collect the colostrum, which has the antibodies, and produce therapeutic products. Please have a look at our deck to see the mechanisms of action. There's some nice slides there that show with and without Travelan how it works. Large market potential. Please have a view of this. US $83 million, in Europe $50 million. We're just touching the base there, mostly in Australia at the moment, but with good growth profile, and $1.7 billion market opportunity for that IMM529 that I mentioned before for Clostridioides difficile. Might just hand back to you for questions, if that's okay.
Yes, absolutely. So your sales growth is pretty impressive. Should we expect this to continue?
Yes, you should. So in Australia, the percentage growth we would expect that to slow down somewhat, but we really have just launched in the US on Amazon.com in July, and last month in Walmart.com. So we expect strong growth in the US market. Just got back into the Canadian market as well, and have launched in one retail pharmacy chain, planning to add another one next month, and the largest one in Canada in a couple of months' time. So strong growth expected for US and Canada, and maintaining those sales in Australia.
And the market size for C. difficile is very large. So when is the next milestone for this clinical program?
Yeah, so this is a large potential market. So for the clinical trial that we plan to do, phase 2 next calendar year, we're targeting a subset of that for recurrent CDI. Our market forecast for that, based on external Lumanity research, is around US $100 million per annum in the US market alone. The next milestone for that's this month. We're planning to file pre-IND with the FDA.
And the estimated market sizes for US and EU are much larger than the current sales. So are these realistic estimates specifically for Travelan? And if so, when?
Yeah, so that's a good point. So they were on that slide that I just showed there briefly before. That's based on travellers travelling to high-risk regions that could be expected to get travellers' diarrhoea. The CDC estimates 30 to 70% of people that travel to these regions get travellers' diarrhoea. viewers may not be aware that there is no FDA-approved drug for prevention of traveller's diarrhea, and we plan to be the first. In the meantime, we're selling Travelan as a dietary supplement in the US, and that's what's holding sales back a little bit, but also because we haven't spent as much time on sales and marketing as what we could have, and we've just started that, as I mentioned before. So launched on Amazon in July last year, just launched on Walmart.com. We're planning to get into retail pharmacy as well. And in Canada, as I mentioned, we're getting back into retail pharmacy and expect the largest chain in Canada to pick us up in a couple of months' time. So I think it is realistic. How long will it take? I think in the next couple of years we could move substantially towards those targets.
And you have some important milestones coming up in the near term. Can you summarize what we should expect?
Absolutely. So just repeating those again. So Travelan, IMM 124E, phase 2 trial completion. The rest of the data should be out in July, and clinical study report in August, and applying for that end of phase 2 meeting with the FDA shortly after that. Camp ETEC phase 2, data for that's due out in August. So, and just mentioned before, the IMM 529 filing pre-IND with the FDA this month. We have one other study, Uniform Services University study, conducting a phase 4 study with our Travelan dietary supplement. Large study, 866 active military personnel, both US and UK. That's now 75% recruited, and we're planning to complete recruitment and to report out on that study early in the first quarter of next calendar year.
And Felipe asks, what does filing the pre-IND do to your trial timeline?
Yeah, so this is the first step in getting the FDA to give us FDA approval, or IND, so that's investigational new drug for starting a clinical trial. So it's a precursor to being able to start a clinical trial. Realistic timeline for starting that clinical trial would be mid next calendar year.
And Frank asks, how are you educating the public about your products? Are they being recommended by any PCPs? And what does the network look like?
Yeah, so in Australia, we have health claims, and likewise in Canada. So we have on-label claims for prevention and relief of traveller's diarrhea, as well as a number of other gut-related conditions. And so for that reason, health care practitioners can recommend the product and do that. But in the US, we market the product as a dietary supplement. We don't have those label claims on label, and we're limited in what we can do with regard to PCP. So they're really only going to promote it off their own back, not based on anything we do, because we don't promote off-label. We do a lot of online promotion of the product, and I welcome viewers to have a look at that. We have a US-specific website for Travelan. We also advertise quite heavily on Facebook, on YouTube, on Instagram, and other channels.
And Tom asks, how has the online sales been from a percentage of total sales basis?
In the US, it's probably the largest portion of our sales at the moment. So Amazon's overtaken Passport Health Travel Clinics, and so that's doing really, really well. We've just started on Walmart.com, but we expect that to grow as well. So I'd say in the US, the majority of sales are online now. In Australia and Canada, primarily retail pharmacy.
And Tony asks, does the revenue you're currently generating go a long way towards your need for future fundraising?
Look, it goes somewhat towards that. So the margin on our product is just under 70%. So 3.6 million in sales for the 9 months. If you extrapolate to the end of the year, you end up with a few $1 million of contribution to liquidity that we can put towards our clinical trial events. Viewers may be aware that most of our trial activity at the moment has been funded by the US Department of Defense, and we're actively seeking new funding from Department of Defense and other non-dilutive grant funding sources.
Wonderful. Well, Steve, thank you for this update. Great work, and we look forward to having a few more in the next few months.
Yeah, very good. So my contact details are here. So anyone wants to contact me directly, please do so. Happy to have a chat. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you, Steve. Everyone, thank you for watching. We'll be right back with our next